guys, welcome back to another episode of EXE Now Working. We're Chad and Chunk.
So we watched the Selena Gomez documentary titled My Mind and Me, and we have some thoughts. Now if you haven't watched it already, don't worry, we'll give you the highlights, and we'll also be discussing why some people seem to have mixed reviews to this documentary. So this is her attempt to educate people about mental health, and she has used her own experience to share the dark side of having an unhealthy mind.
Alright, so the documentary starts with Selena about to go on tour for her first album, Revival, her first grown-up album outside her Disney image, and she seems to be completely distraught. She's not happy with anything, she's in tears, she goes, when am I gonna be good enough? And so basically she's referencing to the point where the CEO of Interscope Records had earlier talked to her about recording a duet with her then boyfriend, Justin. So this seems to have triggered a meltdown, and she's completely broken down and crying, which seems to be the theme for so much of this documentary.
But here's the thing, what was problematic for me about this documentary was, number one, you're talking about, how this fame is not soothing you, so much of it overwhelming her. She has these issues and she is not addressing them.
I think at this point she does address that, there was this point where she went to Kenya with a charity that she works with, We Foundation or something like that. She said that this was the happiest moment of her life, or she's living the happiest moments of her life. And I remember this one thing that her friend said, which I don't know why, but her friend seems to be getting dragged for it. She said, this is not reality. This is their reality, but this is not your reality. And at the end of the day, you have to come back and, you have to live your life in LA. And when she comes back, it's not that she's completely healed. She just took time off. She just distracted herself.
A vacation.
Exactly. And once she's back, the cracks start to show. She's like fighting with her friends.
She hasn't helped herself. That's the thing. This was a vacation. It was her time for her to cool off. And, when she's back, if it's like, you haven't really, done anything for yourself. You've gone and helped these people who definitely needed the money or needed the help. And, that's great. You're out there helping people who deserve it and who need it. But it won't do anything for you.
Exactly. No, the thing is, Selena definitely has a very big savior complex, and when she says I'll be the human sacrifice to spread awareness about this issue, no, you don't have to. I mean, it's not you against the world. There are so many people who are going to be with you in this journey. You're not the only one, as you yourself say. See, we saw like one of her friends, Raquel, who's, in my opinion, one of the realest friends that she has. It takes a lot to be friends with someone with so many mental and physical issues. And it definitely takes a toll on that person. But she's been with her, she's stuck with her for so long. And I honestly don't think it's right to drag her and say just because she didn't acknowledge her while walking into some door, or, you don't just like try to cancel this girl.
I think it was her fans doing it. Was it?
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but yeah, I saw a BuzzFeed article on it, and I thought that was like in very poor taste.
I agree. So number one, we never know the whole story. Number two, this documentary was made to showcase Selena as the better person. So there is no way they're going to paint Selena Gomez in a bad light. So you have to realize this might not really be all that rooted in reality as you think it is. Maybe, who knows, Raquel was having a bad day and she was like, just gonna zone out, man. And that could have been what happened. I've zoned out and I have walked past my mother multiple times, and it happens.
So what I found really interesting? The absence of a certain someone. Now I know this documentary is all about like her mental health and her mental journey, and not just her mental journey, even her physical journey. The very fact that she's like, she's there and she's making this documentary, maybe that person should have gotten at least a passing mention in this like 90-minute documentary, and that's her kidney donor, her quote unquote her longtime friend Francia Riza. And I was actually a little surprised to not see her mentioned throughout the movie. I think it was just in poor taste that they did not.
So the thing is, yeah, it is poor taste to not mention somebody who's like gone under the knife for you.
Yeah.
Because just because she didn't have to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
She didn't have to.
I
That ends the conversation. She didn't have to surgically remove an organ and give it to you and then tolerate you have an alcohol problem. Because like, girl, this is not okay. Maybe in 2017 they were besties and she was like, yo, I cut myself for you. And then they had a falling out. That's okay. But I think you could have had a passing mention that you did have a surgery. A passing mention to honor somebody who has done a little sacrifice for you. You cannot go and say, I am the sacrifice to the world, when you cannot even honor a sacrifice somebody has done for you. And I think that is why it's of bad taste. It's not that she's not friends anymore, and that is why people are annoyed.
No, I think so much of this documentary is definitely not, it's not conveying what it seems to intend to convey. If you want to talk about mental health, if you want to talk about, what we can do to, change the mental health scenario in your country, maybe start at trying to find the root of the problem. If the entire country is facing a mental health crisis, then there's clearly a common factor somewhere, and trying to identify that with the platform that you have. I mean, you have this entire documentary for this, and probably taking it in that angle could have been a more productive way to take things.
There are two ways this documentary could have gone, and one is, this is about me, or this is about what I'm gonna do. She didn't have to do both of it together, because the solution for her problems, like I said earlier, is not the thing she's gonna do. She putting herself in this pedestal is not going to help her.
So much of this was just like a very isolated way of viewing problems. She's not someone who's lived a regular life. She is someone, who's always lived the 1% life. And her problems have always been unrelatable in a certain level. Yeah. So when you try to connect with the masses, you have to also understand that not everybody has led the life that you have led. It may have been more difficult for you in certain aspects, and there are definitely moments where certain things have been more easier for you, and you have to acknowledge these things. You are not living the same life as like 90% of the country. Your one solution and your one attachment is to destigmatize mental health and to introduce like therapy classes, and you're working with congressmen, you're working with counselors, you're working with the biggest politicians in your country, and your solution is to pass a bill to get therapy classes, mental wellness classes into every school in America for every elementary, middle school and high school. So you have this position, you have the access to all to the most powerful people in your country, and you're only coming up with a band-aid solution, but you are not acknowledging the root problem, the source of these problems that are so apparent for so many people in the country, for like 90% of the country. It can be anywhere from like unemployment to wage gap to
Are kids in American schools even getting decent lunches?
Yeah, education,
Food.
the inflation situation. People are losing their homes, people are losing their jobs. I mean, so much of this is a contributor to the mental health factor. And therapy classes and mental wellness classes in schools are not going to help you feel better when you don't have a home to go back to. And this is something she has not, I don't know if she's not understood, but she's not acknowledging it. And
But
she's not.
Maybe this is completely my perception. I did not attempt to understand what Selena Gomez is thinking. I want to put that disclaimer. But this whole thing that she's made about, helping people, it stems from her own inability to help herself. At least that's how I feel from the documentary. But I really do feel like the biggest takeaway from this documentary is, it's not whether Selena Gomez is a good person or a shitty person. she's a difficult person who's been in a lot of this difficult positions in her life, especially in her mind, and she really needs help. And that is literally what I feel at the end of the documentary, because I don't think anything else is quite as loud and clear, except for the fact that she is struggling with a lot of things.
Most important thing, yeah, same thing. I mean, I think my takeaway is also she needs to probably, start to actively step away from the limelight and start working on herself, probably before she starts to undertake these big decisions to change the policies in the country, because I don't know if she's working from the right space of mind. And a lot of it comes from like being able to sit by yourself and really introspect on the life that you lead. So yeah, I mean, so these are our thoughts on Selena Gomez's documentary, My Mind and Me. If you guys want to watch it, you can. We're not really sure if it's worth the time investment, because again, it's a very difficult documentary to watch.
But if you have watched Blonde, you can watch this.
I agree. So yeah, let us know what you thought of the documentary. And once again, we do want to say that we're not hating on Selena. We definitely grew up in her era. It's just, it's difficult. Like, we're not even close to her. We're not friends with her. We're not someone who's part of her everyday life. But even as like her fans or whatever, it's difficult to see someone in such a situation and not do anything about it. Alright, so if you like this video, do leave a like and comment what you thought about the documentary and what you thought about whatever we talked about as well. And do subscribe to us. Every Sunday we have a new segment where we talk about the top 5 things that happened that week. So if you're interested in any of these things, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when we post a new video. See you guys soon. Bye.